Hello, YouTube. Welcome to the instant analysis for the Summer Sea Training Marathon event. Card information just got released 9 minutes ago. And I just pulled this up, on Kirara, going on the update scouting list and then pulling up the scouting list for the entire event. So we're just going to read these in order as we go down. Colorful Dreams, Colorful Smiles I. This is the first free SR of the event. Elegant Attribute Skill Type. Stat line very weak. 36% crit rate. Buffs crit rate for elegant cards. Whatever. Tech up same attribute cards. Whatever. 1% voltage gain from crit notes. So crit power up 1% for elegant cards. Great card art. Fantastic card art, should I say. But for the unidolized, but the card itself, bleh. The free UR is Kanon. Active attribute SP type. Stat line 8720, 7846, and 12,498 tech. This stat line at max limit break, even for an event card, I have to make this distinction. Even for an event card, the statting on this Kanon card is very, very subpar. It's very below average. We have gotten other free event cards that are better statted than this. So that's already one knock on Kanon. Tap active is a gauge gain rate up for 10 notes, 6.2% at max limit or max skill level. Applies to everybody. Gauge fill rate cards are never good. You will rarely ever see gauge gain tap active cards that are like even average. So the fact that this card has this is not great. Tech all cards not great either. Gauge gain rate up 50% chance to activate when the appeal chance starts. Only buffs gauge gain by 12% for 5 notes. That's depressing. Applies to all, but this card, you're never going to frontline it or backline it. Because at least with backline cards, you want stuff that at the very least gives you things for the entire appeal chance. This card only buffs gauge gain rate, which is already a weak, live show active, and it only buffs it by 12% for 5 notes. Ugh. Not great. Then the second free SR is going to be Kasu. Colorful Dreams, Colorful Smiles, Kasu. Active attribute SP type 5532, 6069, and 6246. Does give her a crit profile, but again, the statting is very, very weak, even for a max limit break. For an event SR. And much like Kanon, same attribute gauge gain. 4.5% for the next 5 notes for other active attribute cards. Yuck. Tech type. 4.2% max skill level tech increase for other SP type cards. Which is like... Ugh. And then the live show active is awful. Live show active is actually awful. The first time you switch strategies, increase the SP gauge gain rate of SP type cards by 8% for 30 notes. Ew. Ew, ew, ew. Costume filler, that's it. Also, Maki in a scuba diving outfit. Natural attribute guard types. Maki, 5226, 8364, so a decent amount of stamina. 7317 tech, which is not bad. Damage reducer. Is it a good damage reducer? No. 10% for 10 notes. Damage reduction cards, remember, like, if you want damage reduction cards, you want a larger damage reduction, but for a shorter time frame, right? You would much rather have a 20% damage block for 5 notes versus 10% over 10 notes. It works better for damage reduction cards if they do like 20% for 5 versus 10% for 10. Those longer duration damage reductions just tend to not work better. Passive is, it's very whatever. Stamina up 3.2% for other natural attribute cards at max skill level. And a 30% chance when the live starts to give a 1.2% damage block for the entire life. It's not great. It's not great. Let's see what the gacha URs look like. Shioriko UR Shioriko Smile attribute skill type 13,126, 7067, 13,464. This card is actually not statted terribly. It's not statted terribly. Tap active is a gauge filler, but it's one of the new gauge fillers, so SK type only a max of 8%. Passive is a same attribute appeal buffing passive, maximum 5.2%. That's actually not bad. Live show active, voltage up on AC success, same attribute. After passing an appeal chance, buff voltage gain by 3.9% for 5 notes. Very weak. Very weak. Why is it 8%? Luna asks. The reason why it's 8% is because skill type gauge fillers, to offset the additional skill activation rate, the way you balance the card is you don't give them 9% gauge fill. You give them 8% gauge fill. Yeah, if this was a 7 to 9% gauge fill card, this card would actually be decent. Like, you know, you would see a decent amount of use for this card. But you have to balance it, you know, giving her SK type by tamping down the max amount of gauge fill. So, for example, another card like this is Steam Maiden Maru, right? Steam Maiden Maru, the cool attribute SK type, is an SK type gauge filler, but she can only fill a maximum of 8% of her gauge, right, with her tap active. So it's basically kind of the same thing. You know, and actually, Steam Maiden Maru and this Sunny Flower Shioriko, their tap active and their passives are the same. They have a 8% gauge fill tap active and a 5.2% max same attribute appeal buffing passive. Their differences are going to come in the LSA. Steam Maiden Maru gives a 15% skill activation rate up for the first 10 notes of an AC for other cool attribute cards, which is a lot better than this Shioriko's LSA, unfortunately. Could she be used for, like, very, very niche instances for, like, say, certain Niji songs? Yeah, probably. Like, you know, I could see her in a situation where, like, if you're doing split formational stuff, you have Party Koto, this Shioriko, and Second Fest Setsu, and then a side strat of, like, Party Mari plus a couple other cards. Yeah, I could see that. But it would have to be a very specific beat map that you would even think about using an 8% gauge filler. So, as much as I love the stats of the card and there being another smile attribute filler with decent stats, you know, for one, it's an SK type, and number two, it's not a 9% gauge fill. So you would still probably want to, you know, prioritize. I mean, you're definitely prioritizing second Festetsu over this, but you know, depending on how many limit breaks you have on the card, right? If you're telling me I'm getting this card fresh versus a limit break for New World Koto or a limit break for Christmas Setsu, I would much rather take the higher limit break cards over something like this. And at this point, I don't know whether putting Radiance towards this card is even really warranted. I would much rather save it for, you know, a limited card, right? Like a Second Festetsu, or even like, you know, Party Koto, Party Mari, cards like that. The second gacha UR is Sunny Sunnyflower Maru, a cool attribute guard type. Wow. 13,668 base appeal at max limit break, 14,007 base stamina, and a middling 6491 tech. Maru is a damage reducer, 27% for 5 notes. Now, see, what we were talking about with the other DR cards, this is the type of DR card you want. 27% for 5 notes. That's actually not terrible. Passive is kind of weak, right? Stamina up, same attribute. 5.2% max for other cool cards. And the LSA I'm not in love with. The LSA I'm not in love with. Because it says a 50% chance when the appeal chance starts, reduce stamina drain by 12% until appeal chance ends. So the only times that this LSA is really going to be relevant is if you have damage notes in the middle of ACs. And there aren't that many songs where you would want to side strat this card that has damage notes in the middle of ACs that you, like, have to worry about, right? Because, like, something like Love This World, you know, you're taking, you know, you have 10k damage notes, but you're gaining shields upon appeal chance completion. So a card like this doesn't really mean anything to you. What I will note, though, that is really interesting is this appeal value. 13,668. This is a lot of appeal for a guard type card, and not only a guard type card, but a guard type damage reducer. So, as Clown says, this is actually a pretty decent card to have in Yume no Tobita Challenge, because you're not really sacrificing a lot of tap score for your damage reduction. Right? So if you were to combine, right, if let's say you're going to combine this with, you know, Magical Time Daya and Autumn Kitchen Maru, right, another Maru card, another Maru damage reducer, you know, you can easily, you know, block all that damage from Yume no Tobita Challenge. So Maru actually has two really, really good damage reduction cards, but for two completely different reasons, right? Autumn Kitchen Maru gives you a larger damage block over a short period of time, whereas this Maru gives you a damage reducer that actually taps well. So, while I wouldn't pull for this card per se, it is a card you want to keep on your radar, especially as we start to get more difficult Advanced Plus or Expert songs and more difficult challenge songs. This is a card that I would definitely keep on my radar, and, like, if I do end up pulling it, like, keep an eye on it, especially for those songs that have, you know, like your Ketsui stuff, right? Take a whole bunch of damage at the end of an AC. Or, you know, like a Kinmirai Happy End type of thing, where you have, like, a bunch of damage notes kind of clumped together. This card will definitely be good for instances like that. But outside of that, like, the cards in the event, unless you're, like, a Shio Oshi, or you're a Maru Oshi, Like, there isn't really anything, like, these cards aren't broken per se. They're good, but they're not broken. So, could you scout for them? Yeah. Would I want to scout for them? Not really. I mean, if you're gonna do the 500-page gem pool, right, at the beginning of events, and if, let's say, if you just so happen to end up with both of these URs, I'd be fine with it. Like, you know, it's not gonna stop me or anything, but, you know, am I gonna go out of my way to, like, spark the event banner? Nah. You're much better off saving for whatever comes up for 3rd anniversary in a couple months. You know, the 3rd anniversary for JP side. You're much better off waiting for that, or the next party banner, or the next fest banner. Save your gems. These cards are okay. They're slightly above average. They're like 6s or 7s. Stat wise, yeah, they're better than 6s or 7s. But, you know, when you're incorporating the entire kit and how much you're going to use them, like, I would much rather save my gems. But yeah, that's going to be it for this instant analysis. Thank you for joining us. Come join us on Twitch, twitch.tv/IamTheShaz. I stream 4 to 5 days a week. Starting next month, the streaming schedule will get back to a little bit closer to normal. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And yeah, until next time, we will see you all later. YouTube, take it easy. Thank you so much. Bye.